Okay, welcome everyone to another update. And this update, I will be making it into more than one part. So the reason for that is because there's a lot to talk about. And also there's a lot taking place in the market, in the financial market. And there's a lot that's going to happen. Today is November 19th. It's Thursday, November 19th, 2020. Now, for those of you who are the public viewers, whichever platform you're watching this on, what I want to start doing is placing the date, the timestamp on those videos. I did not do that up until the last video, which was Wednesday's video, November 18th. I did that on that video, but I failed to do it on the previous videos. And so once I start doing that, you'll be able to go back and recount, at least for the past week and a half, since we've been making these daily updates again. All right. You'll be able to keep track and monitor and see exactly what's going on and how things work and how this strategy works. And there's other tools and other things that I will also be providing for you to keep track and understand how everything works. Okay. Since there's a lot to talk about, I don't want to really go into the usual explaining to you all what we provide. You can go back to the other videos and watch that. I do want to say a lot, but at the same time, I do have to realize that I have to also slow down. I'm a strong believer of this saying, KISS, which stands for keep it simple, stupid. And I didn't come up with that. It's just a saying. But what it means is this. The more simplified things are when you're explaining something, the easier it is for the hearer and the learner to understand. There's no need to make things super duper complicated. The market itself is a very complicated place. So as a teacher, my job is to take that complicated material, that information, and present it to the point where it can be as simple as possible and it can be simply understood by the hearer and the learner. Okay? So that's what I always seek to do. All right? So let me get right into it. There's a lot of things that I need to cover because there's things that are about to take place, guys, and we're seeing it happen. And I will also talk to those who are in the public arena. And once I finish talking to you all, I'll cut the video and then I'll start to address those who are in the paid member arena. So this account here is our current market value account. Let's get right into it there. And if you remember where we left off with this particular account, then that's good because I really don't remember. Okay. But I know that these trades were placed, and let's take a look at the dates. All right. They were placed on the, with the exception of that one, of course, the first one I opened up. All right. With the exception of the very first one, the rest of them here were placed on November 10th of this month. Okay. November 10th, November 11th. All right. So that's where we are. And some were placed on the 13th. So, but for the most part, this account represents our long-term strategy, current market value. Now, I did make a video a couple of days back where I started off with showing a review of one of our members. I believe he was a trial member, and he said, look, I placed the current market value and look at where I'm at. Look at where I'm at. So for this week, I did not really go over this account. I've been mainly focusing on showing the current market movement strategy, but specifically talking to the current market movement crowd. And here's why, because those who are in current market movement, they tend to want to make the profit on their own terms. And these are the individuals that will place the trades by themselves according to our signal updates, which are coming out every day now, guys, which is a good thing. And they're coming out on time, which is another good thing. So just to give you a heads up, these signals, if you're taking the signal service, they are done before, or at least by 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, so far, so good. Now, sometimes I do get swamped with a lot of work and a lot of things going on, and I am having to work remotely now. You know why? Because of what's going on in the world. There's no, you guys know what's going on there. So with all of that said, everything is moving smoothly, and we're trying to get everything done on time, because it's very important for current market movement members to get a fresh, updated report on a daily basis. Okay, because it's every week. All right, so Monday, ideally, you can place a trade. By Wednesday or Thursday, you can collect. So in other words, on average, every 3 to 4 days, you want to collect. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why it's very important to get these daily updates to the current market movement members, those who want to use that strategy. They're more concerned with making their profit on a weekly basis. Now, you should decide. You're going to have to make a decision on several different points. Number one, what strategy are you comfortable with? Which strategy are you going to go with? Now, I will say this. I've also showed you guys the chart from the website, the MyFX book. So let's go there real quick. I want to have it actually open already. So here's the MyFX book chart. And from October 20th, we see where it started. Started off in a drawdown of negative 1.75%. It went up to 25% on the 22nd. Another 22% growth on the 23rd of October. 26, 20% growth. Let's see, let's skip over November 4th, 58% growth. Then 113% growth by the 11th. By the 12th, 156. 13th, 156 again, a few percentage up higher or lower. Here, 155 went down a little bit, right? And back to 156.77. So we got this little steady line. And that steady line does say a lot. I will say that it does say a lot, because that's an indicator too that there's some tension about to take place, guys. Just looking at this strategy alone, just by looking at the chart of our growth, current market movement strategy, you can see just from the chart, even the charting of the strategy will tell you a story as to what's happening in the market. There's some kind of consolidation about to take place. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to see a drop in our strategy and it's going to start to tank. No. That line does indicate that there's something going on. I want to talk about that something. And that's the whole point of what I said earlier. I might have to do this. Well, I will. I will have to do this video into different parts, because this is a very important thing to understand. And I write about it in my ebook. All right. I mentioned in the ebook because I wrote about it in the ebook. I wrote the ebook so that everyone can have an idea as to what this all entails. Everyone can have an understanding of how this works. See, just want to make sure that. All right. So that's good. All right. So what chapter am I talking about? I'm talking about, guys, the storm. Now, there are different kinds of storms. You have some. Okay, so here we go. Guys, I did get knocked off. I apologize for that, okay? But the storm, guys, there's different levels of the storm. We got the low grade storm, then we got the medium grade storm, and then we got the high grade storm. Then we got this other kind of storm. You know, that's the crazy stuff, okay? But In relation to the market, I will say this. Number one, I write about it in the ebook. You cannot participate in this market and not expect to be part of a storm. It just doesn't work that way. You cannot, if you're expecting to go through this whole journey of your financial journey, especially when it comes to the market, and you have the understanding in your head implanted that everything's going to be smooth sailing, well, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. In a way, I'm not really that sorry to burst your bubble, but you have to deal with reality, okay? That's just the nature of the market. The nature of the market is going to be storms. Now, it's not for you to try to avoid the storm. What's important is making sure that you have proper risk management. In other words, making sure that your margin level percentage area is at the right area. Because as long as it's in that area, I'm going to give this analogy, and I gave this in the ebook as well, in the video tutorials. Okay, so imagine you're in a plane and you got cargo. You could use a plane analogy or a ship, a boat analogy, whichever. But just imagine you're in an airplane and you got, let's just say you purchase gold, okay, in the market. You're holding on to gold. And the airplane, let's say that represents your account, okay? All right? So you're flying along, smooth sailing, and the sky is nice and clear, all right? And let me turn to the account here. And all of a sudden, you see some clouds forming. Now, you got a whole bunch of gold in your airplane, and of course, things are smooth sailing, okay? That represents you're making profit. Your account is making profit. You bought the right, you took the right position with your assets, okay? And now you're smiling, you're happy. Of course you're going to be happy. That's just human nature. You're making profit. You're like, oh man, this is great. This is easy. That's where a lot of beginners usually tend to fail, when they see that profit, when they're in a profit zone, is what we call it, profit zone, or they're in profit phase, especially profit phase. You start off with profit phase first. Okay, but I don't want to get into all that right now. But here, you're happy. You're making profit. Of course you're going to be happy. All right? Then all of a sudden, guess what? The clouds start to form. The clouds start to form. Here, the clouds are forming. And that means what? There's a storm approaching. Now, sometimes you'll be able to see that storm approaching. We have those indicators, guys, in the daily financial market report. It's called stress. The stress is synonymous to some storm activity. Now, in the report, for those of you who have access to the report, if you're a free trial member or a paid member, you're going to get access to the report. You're going to see it, especially if you go to the report today. You'll see the pattern. Be happy that you're getting this type of information, guys, because some people don't even know that there's a storm coming. When you get access to this report, you're going to know when the storm is on the way. And then you can make the best decision based on where you're at, especially if you're taking current market movement. I'm talking to both groups now. All right. This is a current market value account, but hey, both groups have to go through the storm. Now, the only difference is this. If you take the current market movement approach, you have to realize that that storm can come very quickly. And that's what we got. We had this happen. We had that happen this week. Okay. But we were able to see the storm, though. And what are the indicators? You start to see on the daily financial market report, you start to see the word stress. And then you go down, you see another stress. You're like, huh. You don't see a lot of fire, first of all. That's one indicator. The fire represents a market alignment, which is that's like the clouds are, the sunshine is out and the skies are blue and the clouds are nowhere to be seen. You see, that's when you see all the fire marks on the daily financial market report, and you're like, man, everything's smooth sailing. Oh my goodness, I'm making money. Okay, some people can trade in that type of environment only. That's okay. All right. I'm gonna be close to ending this video. Actually, I'll start on the next part. But here, you start to notice the stressors are on the report. Then you start to notice another sign that there's extreme stress. You start to notice extreme stress all throughout the report, and you're saying, whoa, there's a storm approaching. Just by glancing at the report, guys. Just by glancing at the daily financial market report. You're going to know. You're going to know. And specifically, you're going to know what's going on with your asset, the one that you're trading on, the one that you're investing in. Guys, especially if you're going to do short term. Now, I did want to say this. If you're looking at this chart here, this only represents current market movement, not current market value. I wanted to make this point, and I'm in that video. And I'll continue on the next part. If you're going to do current market movement, the shorter term, you're going to yield a higher percentage return. You're going to see this type of return, 156%, over 100%. You're going to see this type of return if you're working on current market movement. You will not see this if you're working on current market value, because it's two different aspects of the equation. With current market value, because it's long term, you're going to be going through a lot more storms, but you're going to enter into something called profit zone. Okay, I'll clarify those definitions later, but just hear me out. Now, some of you might say, oh man, are you serious? You mean I won't see this type of return on long term? You'll see a return on long term. There's benefits, there's pros and cons. I'll talk more about the pros and cons. Let me end this video right now. I'll continue on part 2. I'll see you on part 2.